Welcome to the first installment of my Pick a Card readings for YouTube. If you are new here, I am an intuitive tarot reader who has been reading cards both leisurely and professionally since about late 2016, early 2017. I like to give the quick disclaimer that while my cards have been known to predict things, I am not personally a psychic. I'm an intuitive reader, and my cards are meant to act as spiritual guide tools. My readings may resonate with you, or they may not. Sometimes my readings may not resonate at all. Tarot readers can also certainly have off days, but the key here is to get a good connection with my cards. You must come into this with an open mind and have some semblance of a belief in the art of tarot. Today I have prepared 3 different readings for you. Each reading has 4 cards in total, 2 oracle cards of the same deck, and 2 tarot cards of the same deck. This is an intuitive pick a card reading, meaning it is your choice to pick which deck you feel you are meant to get your reading from. We have pile number 1, pile number 2, and pile number 3. So what I'd like you to do now is take a second to really focus on each of the cards that you see before you. Really try your best to clear your mind. Allow yourself to be open to the idea of receiving some sort of message today, whether it be it from your own personal intuition, from your spirit guides, your guardian angels, whatever it is you believe in and you perceive, and really try to figure out which of these particular sets of cards here feels like it's reaching out to you. Which ones do you feel a deeper connection with? Which one feels a little more significant than the others? Take all the time you need. You can feel free to pause this video if necessary to help you decipher which one you'd like to choose. We had a choice between 1, 2, and 3. We are going to go obviously in order. So for those of you who chose number 1, we're going to start with you, and for the rest of you, hang tight, and we'll get to these later. Those of you who chose number 1, welcome. We're about to take a look and see what cards you chose today. We have the 4 of spring, the 10 of summer, the 10 of acorns in reverse, and the world. Now the 4 of spring here does say, be grateful. You have much to celebrate. Deep feelings of peace and happiness, a contented personal life. So this one may be a key reminder that it might be time to stop and appreciate the little things in your life. I think we all have a tendency when we think about gratitude and needing to be thankful for things. We don't necessarily think to be grateful for the little things, and the little things can be as simple as it's sunny today after a week of rain, or you were able to sleep in because you didn't have to get up early today. So we don't have to take gratitude to mean big things. Take the time to appreciate the little things in your everyday life. You can romanticize even the little things, and that can help you find that sense of gratitude. You have a lot more to celebrate than you realize. You're likely doing better than you think, and it's time to be a little more proud of yourself here. If you have a tendency to just not be kind to yourself in a sense that you don't consider anything worth celebrating unless it's some big, fantastic accomplishment, that is simply not true. It is okay to celebrate yourself for, I took a walk today instead of just sitting on the couch, and I got a little active, or, I took out the garbage after going through a little bit of a depressive slump. You can celebrate the little victories as well. You have a lot more to be excited and celebrate. With this deep feeling of peace and happiness, I think that if you've been going through it a little bit, kind of going through a bit of a chaotic phase, this could be a sign that very soon the dust will settle in your life and you'll have this inner peace and happiness that sort of returns to you. It might even be because you start appreciating the little things in life and having that gratitude that you just start to feel thankful for the things around you, and it naturally just opens up your inner peace where you feel a lot better and a lot more contented with your life. So with that final line being, a contented personal life, I think just getting all of this into effect will kind of just naturally balance your life out a little bit, The second card here being the 10 of Summer. The 10 of Summer does say an emotionally fulfilling life with family or friends, raising children wisely, and people you can trust. Now, of course, as always with these cards, you don't have to take them so literal if you are not somebody who wants kids and does not have kids, and you don't really anticipate having kids anytime soon. There are, of course, parts of these cards that you can omit, and this can also just be more of a metaphorical thing. It can represent pets as well, children. You know, a lot of us think of our pets as children. So this is just saying that, going along with that first card, the Four of Springs, that very soon you'll feel like your life is more emotionally fulfilling and more, it's something that you can feel very happy with. You will likely have a good and positive sense of community sort of formulating soon. So if you've been having trouble maybe dealing with loneliness, this is saying that if you reach out or you allow people into your life, you're going to develop and really have a good sense of community around you. And that community can be through family or friends that you consider family, or pets that you own, things like that. And it's going to just help you to feel a little less lonely and feel like you have this sense of community that makes you happy to kind of be around and kicking it with everybody. You know what I mean? With that final line of people you can trust, this to me also says that if you've had a tendency in the past to have trust issues, or people that you couldn't trust or you were afraid to trust, I think this is a good sign that with that sense of community you're going to begin developing, that you're going to find that the people that you're sort of surrounding yourself with are really trustworthy, and you're going to just feel really contented and really good. So based on these first two cards, I really think that we have a good sense of happiness, calm, and peace coming your way, which is very, very nice. Of the two tarot cards that we have pulled, the first one we did get is the 10 of Acorns in a reversal, and the key words in the 10 of Acorns are responsibility and dedication. So this to me, with it being in a reversal, if you have a tendency to, you know, be a little stagnant with your responsibilities, where you maybe get into creative slumps, or you feel a little burnt out, or you deal with maybe some mental health issues that kind of make it hard for you to kind of pick up on your responsibilities and stay dedicated to them. If you have trouble staying dedicated to things that you're trying to accomplish, this is just saying you want to try and get out of that funk to the best of your ability, because in order to get this very positive, uplifting energy from the first two cards, you need to kind of push yourself a little bit. And this is not saying to push yourself so hard that you're just struggling and you're unhappy and you're burning yourself out. It's just saying that if there are things that you struggle with, so let's just say you have mental health issues and you struggle with taking out the garbage every week, or doing the dishes in the sink and instead letting them pile up, you want to try and get a little more responsible and kind of pushing yourself a little bit to be like, hey, let's at least get the dishes done. Let's at least clean up our space a little bit. Let's at least go outside and take a walk in the fresh air. Try to do things that you dedicate yourself to in a way that they almost become habit. And so then it doesn't feel like a chore to do these things, because that's going to just really help you get into a more positive headspace and allow all of this positive energy in. The good thing is your final card here is the World, and the key words on the World card are fulfillment and celebration. So I think the general consensus with this reading here is that you have a lot of positive and upbeat energy that is just kind of waiting to flourish in your life. You have a good sense of community around you that is ready to just welcome you with open arms and make you feel like you belong. But the key is to make sure that you're also doing a lot of the self-care, you're doing a lot of the shadow work and work that you need to do in your own personal life, whether it is taking care of things that you've been neglectful of, or if you're struggling to kind of make positive habits for yourself, it's time to do that, because once you do, you will have much to celebrate and your life will feel very, very fulfilled. So this is a very good thing. So I think all in all, your takeaway from this reading is that you've just got a little bit of some shadow work to do here, but once you start taking care of that, you're going to find that everything around you kind of just starts to pan out the way you need it to, the way you want it to, and you're going to have a good sense of accomplishment as well. If you selected reading number 2, let's go ahead and take a look and see what the cards have in store for you today. So we start here with Volunteer, next to Aging Gracefully. These are my butterfly cards, one of my favorites, because they say so little but pack a punch. So what are we dealing with here? If we're having a situation where maybe the idea of the future freaks us out, or even quite literally getting older freaks us out, this is something that we want to work on. In terms of volunteer, this is more of a symbol that it might be a good idea to reach out to people and talk about what's going on with you, because let's be honest, a lot of us fear the idea of either getting older or just what the future has in store for us, because there's a lot of things going on in the world every day. There's a lot of things that we see, and it can be difficult to look ahead to the future with a lot of confidence. And it's not easy to feel excited about things to come if we find ourselves doom scrolling on our phones, or we just constantly hear things that make us feel just very uneasy and unhappy with what's supposedly to be expected. But again, this can also just very much tie into if you have this inner panic of the idea of getting older because of this very unfortunate theme in society that, like, once you hit a certain age, you're almost irrelevant and you're not beautiful anymore, in a sense, which is so ridiculous. Because think about what this card says right here: gracefully aging. It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. It doesn't matter what society thinks. Getting old is certainly a privilege, and it is a privilege that not everyone is lucky enough to accomplish. So you should take it in stride 100%. Whether it is you're afraid of what the future holds, try to look at the future and tell yourself it's going to work out the way it's supposed to, and as long as I have my head in the correct places, I have nowhere to go but up. But don't go through this alone. With this card, volunteer, here, you want to make sure that whatever you are feeling, that you aren't going through it alone. Talk to friends, talk to family. You can even talk to a therapist. There's no shame in that. And even if it's not quite literally about the aging process, it could also, again, be the process of just being afraid for the future. Don't go through that alone. Talk to people who maybe feel the same way you do, and just open up about what's going on with you. It's a good way to combat this, because if we go into the two tarot cards that we've pulled, the first one we pulled is the Fool. Now, while the Fool can sometimes represent, be on the lookout for a potential love interest in your future, the Fool also represents the person that kind of romanticizes life from the big to the small, but is also the epitome of, for them, it is about the journey as opposed to the destination. They know how to live in the present and enjoy the now, because they may not have a full plan for the future and know entirely what they want to do. But they do know that in order to be able to have a fulfilling future, they can't be too hyper-focused on it either, and they don't let that bother them. So that's what the Fool sort of represents. It's telling you that, if you're worried about the future, if you're worried about aging and all these things, that is okay. It's a very common thing. But don't go through it alone, and don't forget to live in the present. Be more present in the moment. Romanticize your life now, because if you spend all of your time worrying about the future to the point where it basically eats up all of your time, you're going to be looking back on these moments and saying, I really wish I lived more in the present moment, because I missed out on so many opportunities. I missed out on just stopping to smell the roses and having just like a nice life. You don't want to go looking back on that with regret and thinking, I wasted so much time being so concerned about aging or the future that I didn't really properly live. So try to embody the Fool here for you. Think about the journey as opposed to the destination. Now, with this final outcome card being the Lovers. Now, this could, of course, be a sign that if you're in a relationship right now, that it is a good relationship and that it will continue to fulfill you. This could be an indication that potentially a love interest may be coming your way. But I think if we tie it into the rest of this reading, if aging is something that concerns you, this could be saying, look at yourself with a lot of love and confidence. Don't worry about aging, because you're going to be beautiful at any age that you reach, whether you are 25, 35, 45, 65, 105. Love yourself and be confident in your skin and who you are. We can also take this as, again, when we go into this idea of being afraid of the future, being in the present moment. Romanticize your life like the Fool does. Learn to love the little things and everything that's happening now. It doesn't mean don't have a plan for the future. It just means don't get wrapped up in it. Love your life now. Love where you want it to go and where you see it heading. And don't let yourself get too wrapped up in what could be. Just, have a good balance. Be in the present moment. That is the main takeaway here. And love yourself. Don't be afraid of getting older. Don't be afraid of where the future is headed. Just be in the present moment. Have a basic plan. And don't give up. For those of you who chose number 3, let's see what the cards have in store for you today. So starting with the 2 oracle cards, the first one that we've pulled for you today is the Ant Spirit, which says time to collaborate. So what could we be talking about here? If you have a tendency to be that person that wants to handle things yourself, or you are afraid of allowing other people in to your life, whether it is to talk about an issue you're having or just in general, you just like to take things in stride and not burden other people with your problems, as you might say, it is time to kind of stop getting into that mindset and try to allow people into your life. Now is the time to reach out to others, to talk about what's going on with you, to allow people into your life. If you are more of a loner, and you've been lately maybe feeling like, I don't want to be that loner anymore, I want to have a little bit of a sense of community, now's the time to do so. When it comes to time to collaborate, don't go whatever you're dealing with right now alone. It is time to allow people in. With that flamingo spirit being the next one, this one says embrace the in-between. So if you're kind of feeling a little bit wishy-washy lately, there's a good chance that you're kind of dealing with going through a transitional period in your life. And while it can be annoying and a little bit stressful, it is something that will pass. It's just going to be a little bit of an awkward in-between for your life for a while. But the good thing is, if you're in a transitional period, a lot of the times with transitional periods in your life, it really opens up the opportunity to stop and smell the roses, if you will. It gives you a chance to maybe rest a little bit and prepare yourself for what's to come. So when we say embrace the in-between, embrace that little bit of downtime that you might have right now. Let yourself rest, let yourself relax. Don't get too worked up on, but I got to get to the next thing. If you're always so antsy about, I want to get to the next thing, no pun intended, but I have to get to the next thing and I want it to get started now. Try not to do that, because this is a great time to just take a second to breathe and to relax and to kind of get into a good headspace. Because if you're always going 0 to 100 every day, eventually you're going to burn yourself out to a point where nothing gets done the way you want it to be done. So embrace that kind of awkward in between right now if you're in that transitional period, because you can use it for rest and relaxation. But again, with that time to collaborate, let people in. Don't go through these things alone. Going into the 2 tarot cards we've pulled for you, the first one is the 8 of Chalices in a reversal. Now in an upright, the 8 of Chalices, similar to 8 of Cups, same thing, is this card that represents going on an emotionally important soul-searching journey. It represents somebody like going to find themselves and kind of figuring out who they are along the way, because they're realizing they don't like who they are and they need to discover who they truly are, because they realize they haven't really truly been embracing who they are or stopped to figure out who they are. With this being in a reversal, with this whole transitional period, you may be getting into that space where you thought you knew who you were, but you're kind of realizing, I don't think I do know entirely who I am. I think I perceived myself a specific way or felt that I needed to be a specific way, and now you're kind of realizing, I gotta kind of figure out who I am. And it's in a reversal right now because you're in that transitional period of, you're not quite at that point of, I know who I am, I know what I want now. So what's going on here is you're in that phase of really feeling confused about who you are and what's going on, and maybe it's not making you feel your best. You're almost uneasy about it and you don't quite like it, but again, it will pass, because this to me says you're in the middle of that soul searching journey. And perhaps the reason why we start with this ant spirit telling us that it's time to collaborate is because maybe it will kind of help you figure out who you are, is to reach out to people and make maybe new connections that could help you figure out who you are, whether it's talking to a therapist or joining online forums, or that's really old school, but like a Discord server or something like that, or just going online and trying to find people that maybe are going through the same struggles you are, or even just reaching out to your friends and like opening yourself up to a community to kind of give you some feedback to figure out who it is you truly are, what's different about me that I thought I knew who I was, but now I don't think I'm that person anymore. But the positive thing is, when this transitional period is over, boy, will you shine bright like the sun, because quite literally the last card that we've gotten is the Lovers. And if you see here, we've got this bright sun in the middle. So with this Lovers, yes, it could always represent, a potential love interest is in your life, or maybe an existing relationship is going to continue to flourish, and that's certainly a possibility. But I think when we tie it into the rest of this reading, this is saying that not only will your soul-searching journey in this transitional period prove to be fruitful, but you are really going to shine into who you are and love who you become. It's going to be like if you've been almost like wearing this metaphorical mask this whole time of how you thought you were supposed to be at your age and who you are. Like you thought like, oh, I have to be perceived this specific way, so I have to be this specific way. When you start realizing, you know what, I don't think I need to be this specific way, and also I don't want to be, you start to discover who you are, and then you realize, you know what, I really like the real me and I really love who I'm becoming. So not only do you start to love yourself and feel more confident, but you allow love in. It could be romantic, platonic, just, you know, loving relationships around you will begin to strengthen, but you again will have that feeling of inner self-love. So if you have had a past filled with a lot of self-confidence issues and struggling with that, this is a big sign that, well, the wait for that all to dissipate will be no more, because you will get to that point where you just truly blossom and love who you are, and just are finally at that point where you feel like, I'm so emotional and so happy about where I am. So even if things feel a little awkward now with this potential transitional period, it's all going to be worth it, because you will truly blossom into who you are and who you want to be, and you're going to love who that person is. I just want to take a second and thank everybody who gave my first pick a card reading the good old college try and stuck around for the entire video. I do hope that whichever deck of cards that you chose today, that your reading resonated with you. And of course, if it did not, you can always feel free to let me know. I'm never going to be offended, because tarot readers can absolutely have off days. It certainly happens. But I do hope that the readings today did resonate with you. Please let me know in the comments how you liked my first installment of these pick a card readings. Let me know if they resonated with you, and if they did, how they did resonate with you. And if you have any questions on any of my future tarot and oracle content, or just questions in general, please comment below, let me know. You can always email me as well, and be sure to follow me on all of my social media. And I'll see you in my next installment of my pick a card reading videos. Have a wonderful day.